You think you're behind in life. You're not. That feeling, the one that shows up when you're scrolling at midnight, comparing your job, your relationship, your bank account to a stranger's, is only about 10,000 years old. For 300,000 years before that, not a single human being ever felt it. Not once. So what changed? And why does your brain still treat a birthday like a deadline? Let's start with the obvious question. How would anyone even know what age they were? The answer is they didn't. Not the way you do. Anthropologist Richard Lee, who spent years living with the Kung Bushmen of the Kalahari in the 1960s, found that most adults in the camp couldn't tell you their exact age in years. Not because they were uneducated, because the number didn't matter. There was no calendar tracking it, no birthday marking it, no system asking them to measure their life against it. Age was tracked by relationships and events, not digits. You were the one born the year of the big drought. You were older than her, younger than him. That was the whole system. And here's what's fascinating. Without a number attached to your life, you can't fall behind a number. The entire mental architecture of "I should be further along by now" simply had nothing to attach itself to. But it goes deeper than just not having a calendar. In small hunter-gatherer bands, the average camp held somewhere between 25 and 30 people. You knew every one of them. You'd known them your entire life. There was no wider population to compare yourself against. No algorithm feeding you the highlight reel of 10,000 strangers your age. Your reference group was small, known, and mixed generational. A 3-year-old, a grandmother, a new mother, and a man who just made his first big kill were all in the same physical space. All day, every day. Nobody was sorted into an age bracket and measured against people exactly like them. This is the part that should stop you. Comparison, the actual psychological mechanism, requires two things: a large sample of similar others, and a shared metric to rank them by. Ancient humans had neither. You cannot feel behind a group that doesn't exist yet. So when did it start existing? The shift begins with agriculture, roughly 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. Once humans settled into farming communities, something new appeared for the first time in the species' history. Fixed cumulative property. Land you owned, grain you stored, livestock you inherited or didn't. And property, unlike relationships, can be measured, ranked, and compared. For the first time, one family's harvest could be objectively bigger than another's. One farmer's herd could visibly outgrow his neighbor's. Wealth became legible in a way it had never been in a hunting camp where the biggest kill was mocked, not celebrated, specifically to keep anyone from feeling superior. And once wealth could be measured, so could a life. Historians studying early agricultural societies have found some of the first evidence of age-based social expectations appearing here. The age you were supposed to marry, the age you were supposed to inherit, the age you were supposed to have produced an heir. Civilization didn't just give humans property, it gave them a scoreboard. Then came something even more specific: the clock. Before mechanical timekeeping spread through Europe starting in the 14th century, time was task-based. You worked until the harvest was in, not until 5 p.m. Historian E.P. Thompson, writing about this shift in the 1960s, described how factory labor after the Industrial Revolution required something entirely new in human experience: clock discipline. Workers had to arrive at a specific hour, work in specific measured blocks, and be paid by units of time rather than units of completed work. For the first time, being late wasn't just inconvenient, it was a moral failing. This is where the deadline was born, not the harvest deadline, which nature set. A deadline set by other people, arbitrarily and enforced by a clock on a wall. And here's the part almost nobody connects to it. Once your labor could be measured against a clock, your life could be too. If a fixed number of hours defined a productive day, it was only a matter of time before a fixed number of years defined a productive life. The idea that you should own a home by a certain age, marry by a certain age, have children by a certain age, make it by a certain age, this isn't ancient wisdom. It's industrial bookkeeping applied to a human lifespan instead of a workday. But here's the twist that makes this stranger than a simple "capitalism ruined everything" story. Clocks and calendars alone didn't do this to you. Something else had to arrive first: a sample size. In 1954, psychologist Leon Festinger proposed social comparison theory, arguing that humans instinctively size themselves up against others to know where they stand. He built the theory around neighbors, co-workers, people down the street, A sample size of maybe a few dozen. He had no way of imagining what would happen when that sample size stopped being a few dozen people and became several thousand strangers your exact age, curated to look like they'd already won. That's the part nobody saw coming. The instinct was never the problem. The scale was. Your ancestors compared themselves to 30 people they knew intimately, most of whom they'd watch struggle at something eventually too. You compare yourself to a feed of strangers showing you only their highlight reel, at a scale no human brain evolved to process. So here's what's actually happening when you feel behind. Your brain is running an ancient, perfectly functional social comparison instinct. Nothing is broken about the mechanism itself. What's broken is the input. It was built for a tribe of 30. You're feeding it a population of millions, filtered to show you only the wins. It's not that you're failing some timeline. It's that you're among the first humans in 300,000 years being asked to run this instinct at a scale it was never designed for, against a scoreboard that didn't exist until an eye blink ago in evolutionary time. There was no version of your ancestors lying awake wondering if they should have hit some milestone by now. Not because their lives were easier, their lives were harder in almost every measurable way. But nobody had handed them a number to fall behind. So the next time you're scrolling at midnight, feeling that familiar drop in your stomach, remember what you're actually looking at. Not evidence that you're behind. Just the newest scoreboard a very old brain was never built to read. You didn't inherit a broken brain. You inherited a working one, being run through a system it was never built for. The deadline was never real. It was just the newest thing we built.